Hey, Clay.
Hey, Lynn.
You know, I got a funny story to share.
Tell me.
It's about contacts. Like, not the ones in your eyes, not 3, 2, 1 contact. I know there's a movie.
The movie with Jodie Foster?
Not all that. Contact reports.
Okay. Contact reports.
You know.
Yeah. Contact reports. The things that nobody enters into the database that they're supposed to.
Yeah. Like, tell our audience a little bit more about that.
Well, like as part of any documentation, recording of meeting with a donor, following up with a grantor, whatever, right? The contact note is the thing we enter into the database to say, hey, here's who I met with and what had happened. And
we love our database. Like, I love Bloomerang.
I love database. You know me, I'm a CRM guy, head to toe, right?
Like, and so you enter contact reports after you meet with people or have a significant interaction.
Right.
I know once you read a contact report that was something like they waved at someone across the room.
Yeah. There's been, contact waved at somebody across the room, bumped into them at, Target and said, hi. Yeah.
I've got a story for you.
Tell me the story. Is it funny?
Well, this is fundraising is funny. So
it's going to be funny. Okay. All right.
It's kind of funny. Funny. Not funny. And my job is to read a monthly contact report.
A monthly contact report. A report on
contact reports.
On contact.
Like the meeting before the meeting, right?
Yep, the meeting.
Right. So I'm sitting there, young as can be, inspired, still jubilant and not sarcastic, those kinds of things. And I get the monthly contact report and I start reading it. And I'm like, okay. And the reason I'm reading it is because I wrote the acknowledgement letters for the college at the time. And so you need to have those contact reports so to thank people. You need to know about their dogs, Muffy and Duffy, and, details to put in the thank you letter.
Yes.
So I'm reading the contact reports and I stopped on one and I was like, oh no. Am I drunk again at work? But I was really excited because I had it together that day. But the contact report scared me and it made me laugh. And then I was like, oh. So I start reading the contact report and it talks about a visit to our local assisted living facility, I think is the word we use these days.
Yes. Okay.
In the contact report, where there was a series of them, because obviously this fundraiser had gone and visited quite a few people that day at the same location, knock them all down like bowling pins, you see.
Wait, you're telling me that that's not the whole story?
No.
I mean, just that in and of itself
a little funny, right?
That's a little funny. I'm just going to head over to,
the facility and just knock meet, five visits in 1 hour. Bang, 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 bang.
Okay.
Right. But
I mean, let's applaud the efficiency.
I love when resources are shared. But
we saved on mileage that day.
We did. We really did well.
Yeah.
And that's when gas was cheap. Anyway, all this to say, I'm reading the contact report and it's getting funnier and funnier or worse and worse, because the contact report starts something along the lines of met with Mrs. So-and-so. And it was a lovely visit, which is always a wonderful descriptor in a contact report.
Right. Yes.
A lovely visit. Now, she was somewhat comatose for most of the time.
Wait, somewhat?
Well,
comatose?
It's like being partially pregnant. Like how, right? But she was somewhat comatose. But it was a lovely visit nonetheless.
I mean, I've had dates like that, ages ago.
Let's not talk about the reason I'm still single.
Okay.
But
somewhat okay, so let me make sure I get this
unpack this.
Let's unpack this. So contact report, major gift officer, going assisted living home. Just there. I'm still okay. But I met with Mrs. So-and-so and she was somewhat comatose, but it was still a lovely visit.
And I'm reading this and I'm aghast. And of course, the person who has done this is the director of plan giving.
Okay.
The irony not lost on me.
No.
But at the same time, it's funny because you're like, well, what does a semi-comatose visit look like?
I have an image in my head.
I'm hoping the armchair is comfortable.
No.
Plastic seat covers.
I'm not getting any good images at all.
And I'm laughing, but I'm also thinking, wow, somebody wrote that down and put it in the database. Yay.
Semi-comatose.
Right. And B, I'm thinking, oh my God, since when are we meeting like with people that are semi-comatose?
Well, right.
Like,
Right.
Probably. And if we think about fundraising and hilarious.
Now, but let me ask you a question. Did you know or do you know from that contact report? Was this in preparation for, was this leading up to an ask? Was this post-gift cultivation?
This was a stewardship visit, of course, because I was in charge of stewardship.
Okay. So
I only got the contact reports that were coded stewardship.
So this donor had then already made their plan,
she
giving
was
intentions.
Generous.
That doesn't. I mean, if it were a cultivation visit heading up to an ask, I'd be even more. Oh my God, that's not funny, but that's funny. But even as a stewardship visit, it was a lovely visit, but she slept through it.
Well, and I'm also thinking about, are we not concerned about visiting people who may or may not be compos mentis, which for those of you who haven't taken your Latin recently means of sound mind?
Yeah. Okay. So is this an ethics question? Is this a performance question? Is this this is where I'm going with this is this a culture question?
All
D, all
D,
of the above.
all of the above. E, what happened in my life that I get to read these for a living?
I mean, okay. So, but let's boil down for a second. What a contact report should do. At least this is how I see them, and you tell me. My theory is I used to say, if God forbid you get hit by a bus, and then somebody pointed out to me that that's really
it's not the bus's fault all the time.
Well, no, it's not. And that's not the kindest thing. So now I say,
you win the lottery.
If you won the lottery and left tomorrow, right, then would I be able to follow up on what you're doing or, take the next step?
Mm-hmm.
So a contact report to me isn't just about this is what happened. It's about this is what was discussed and here's the next action or here's
right. It had no qualitative substance other than that she's alive.
Yeah.
So we know that. But it didn't have any quality resource to it in terms of, was she thinking about her future? Had she visited her grandchildren? Had she thought about the college that week? Did they discuss anything of merit?
Well, no, she was semi-comatose, so one assumes.
Did you tell her the score of the recent fencing match? Or, because this wasn't the kind of school that had football, if you know what I mean. So, lacrosse, perhaps? I mean, did you update her on the
field hockey?
The gardens that grow roses or the lake behind it?
I mean, these are all very valid and good. Excellent, wonderful.
Did you bring her
points? Greetings
from the president or the dean or the provost? Because there's a word everybody likes to say. Provost. But all this to say, contact reports and the way we talk about our donors is important as well.
Oh, and absolutely is.
Right? They're human beings and they have souls and they're charitable. And sometimes the way we talk about them is funny, but not funny.
It's funny, but it's not funny.
Here one more time, low hanging fruit.
Oh. We're going to have to do a whole episode
on fundraising jargon,
right?
Oh my God. We're totally going to
do note for future. Stay tuned for that one because that will be fun. But okay. So I met with Mrs. So-and-so and she was semi-comatose. I'm sorry. I can't quite let it go because what I'm thinking is everybody that's tuning in and listening to us, is going, oh, let me tell you about, the story that I heard or the contact report that I read. And I know we're going to share a little later on.
Yes,
right?
how they can share those.
Because we want to hear your stories so much.
Well, we often say that this podcast is like coming inside our inbox with us and listening to the good gossip, right?
Yeah. It's like hanging out at the bar, at a conference or something. Right?
Totally.
Exactly.
And if you want to buy if you would like to join us for a beverage,
snacks, if they want snacks.
We accept all favors. We accept, and we will promise to maintain our comatose. We will not be comatose.
We will not be comatose. We do tell all stories, but we do promise anonymity.
We do. We do believe in the anonymity.
Okay, go ahead.
When we come back from the break,
yes.
I think we should really dig into, it's funny and other mysteries of contact reports we've read, but what do we do about it? And what does it mean for our organizations?
Yep, exactly.
So I'm going to grab a bag of snacks and I'll meet you back here.
I can always count on you when the chips are down.
That's right. He's so funny.
Lynn, welcome back.
Oh my God, snacks. So much snacks.
How was your snacks?
I might need a nap.
You might need a nap? Well, I can imagine now myself as I head into retirement someday saying, I did this podcast once and it was wonderful. We had great discussions, but she was semi-comatose post-snacks.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but after a snack, I could use a nap.
Well, naps are life. And also, unless I don't drink caffeine. So every now and again, my concierge Shannon knows that I need a root beer. Keep me floating throughout the afternoon.
Little fizzy, little carbonated action.
You missed the root beer to keep me floating.
Oh, my God. Okay.
You're supposed to pick up on this.
I did not pick on that. Get thee to a penitentiary.
Okay, so we're back.
So we're back, and we're talking contact reports, and you told us the story of, the semi-comatose, but you have another. Yes?
My other favorite contact reports. We had a junior associate, let's call him her or they, and he didn't last long. He was at the institution for about 7 months, but he figured out a way to help himself get credits for tons of visits. Because, as a fundraiser, you get measured based on how many people you meet with, how much money you raise, and metrics,
Yep.
Marsha.
Yep.
And so he gamed the system. So he would go in and he would enter a contact report on a person's record and say, see call report attached. And there was a button you clicked and it opened a screen, and that's where you put all the narrative, right?
I know what system this is.
Yes, it's an ancient system.
I know this system.
And they've changed names like 22 times.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah.
So you clicked the button, the window popped open, and there would be 3 dots, an ellipses, if you will. And that's it in the box. 3 lonely periods.
There is nothing sadder, and I'm going to digress for just a minute here, but if there is nothing sadder than texting somebody and you see those 3 dots pop up and then they disappear. Right. Or you see the 3 dots pop up so you don't start to text it, but then they disappear.
The texting courtesy. And
then they never text, and you're like, well, what were you going to say? And then you don't want to. Yeah, exactly.
I fell asleep. I was napping.
Yes.
That's what happens.
Okay. So
the 3 dots are there.
Mm-hmm.
So he figures out that he can put the 3 dots and get the credit for the visit, but there's no substantive anything to anything. And then I would get the report and it would be 3 dots.
Okay. Question though. What was your responsibility then with that report?
I mean, my responsibility was to enhance the thank you process at the institution, according to the great Dot. So I used ellipses often in our letters, and I thought that might be no. I didn't. I may or may not have casually mentioned it during lunch. We used to have these group lunches, and I may have casually dropped that in the cafeteria, like rolled it across the table and been like, I've been seeing a lot of contact reports with just dots in them. I wonder what's going on with the system. And the big boss was kind of like, huh? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, it's in my report of reports. You should put it on your dashboard.
Oh.
Yeah, there's another one.
That's another one.
Yep. And everyone to fly through a dashboard more, right?
Okay, so is this a failure of the gift officer for not entering stuff? Is it a failure of leadership for not tracking it?
It's also a failure of what we value.
There you go. That's it.
We value activity, but if the activity isn't robust and it doesn't lead anywhere,
right?
Does it matter? I could do a sales call with someone, a potential client, but if they're semi-comatose, it's not going to lead my business anywhere. And if I don't record what we've talked about, I also am not going to go anywhere. So we set up metrics programs that sometimes don't measure meaningful relationship building. And the way we try to track is also off, like dollars and donors, not retention and meaningful movement.
Well, right. And this is also why I kind of go to a cultural issue, which is always a leadership issue, because that major gift officer, whatever role that was, is, checking a box to get credit for the visit, because that's how they're being measured
Assessed.
and managed.
Yes.
Right. But there wasn't something in that person's makeup that went, I know I'm getting measured on this. But even so, I need to leave this note for the next person. I need to leave this note for, whatever.
Well,
so that didn't click in.
You may not be surprised to learn that we hired them out of industry.
Right.
And that we, in higher ed especially, but we in nonprofits do horrible onboarding.
We do. And I think we attract people because of the mission.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And I hear this a lot. Right.
Well, it's not the salary.
I thought, or the benefits.
Here's some cubed cheese from last night's event.
Would you like the board's leftovers as a snack?
Hey guys, we got food for everyone. It's last night's buffet.
Right. Exactly.
And some hummus. Every nonprofit fridge.
But even so, we attract people because of the mission. And so they come in going, I believe in this, or I want to do something good with my life, but we don't quite get to the systems and process are about fulfilling the mission.
Yeah.
But how do we measure it? Right. We have to measure something.
Right. And I understand we have to measure something, but we also need quality control checks in there. We need to have people who believe in doing the right thing. So that goes back to your core values.
It does.
Of what you value as an organization, what you value in leadership. And also, do we have an opportunity for, I was a super junior person, there was no outranking anybody. It was me and the copier, basically. Right. I got 3 pens every 2 months, and, I got the sticky notes that were left over in somebody's desk after they quit, and, that kind of stuff. How am I going to challenge somebody who makes triple of what I make and has an office with a door? I mean,
right. Yes. Woo. All the things.
New pens.
So our friends that are listening going, oh my gosh, I have seen that.
I can relate to it.
Hey, okay, let's be honest. Have you ever kind of cheated a little bit on a contact report and just put the bare minimum in just to get it done?
I have gotten contact reports done. Yes. When you say cheated, leaving them blank. No, I've never done that.
No, I've never left them blank, but have you ever just,
I've phoned it in, as you might say.
Phoned it in. There you go. Yep.
From a phone call I had with a donor. I also, though, when I have my most troublesome calls with donors is when I lean really heavily into my contact reports, because also I know, and what's always funny is there's a bunch of others there. It ain't their first rodeo with an angry phone call.
But that's, you bring up a really great point, because that's another thing that we do, isn't it? We enter the notes when we have to go into CYA mode.
Oh, well, yeah. There's some
right.
Whatever word that. I'm not good at that, but yeah, I'll cut and paste whole emails in there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
But if I go and I have a lovely visit with somebody, I'm less likely to, really go into details of.
And that's why I think there needs to be some sort of structure or outline to say, even if it's a lovely visit, please don't say it's a lovely visit. Please give us some details. What are tidbits you picked up? Did you notice that she has sunflowers in her home?
Right.
Did you notice that, her cat is getting fat?
Did she tell you something that gives you any indication of values, beliefs, passions, etc.?
He could have totally rescued the whole comatose in the assisted living facility with so while she was napping, I looked around and I noticed she collects Hubbles, and she also, all of her frames were out of silver, and so when we get her something, she could have added something. So what's the punchline here, Clay?
To me, the punchline is we have to measure something.
Yep.
We are all busy and have too much to do.
Yes.
Including the people that have to measure things and track things. Let's build a culture of.
Yeah.
Right. Let's build a culture of, this is what we do because we are connecting donors to our values and our mission and every little thing. So maybe let's measure less how many contacts you have.
And the quality.
And measure more the quality.
And the building of the relationship. Right. And also, it's really hard to build a relationship with a person who's comatose. So let's also give them their peace and maybe say today isn't the day for a visit, and be respectful of them as human beings as well.
Right. That's right.
So we always want to connect back with you all. So what kind of wacky contact reports have you read? What is the most interesting thing you've ever found in your database? Please spare me certain stories, but what have you, we'd love for you to share with us some of those wacky, wild stories. So you can go to fundraisingisfunny.com and share that with us. And we would love to hear from you. But for now, Clay and I are going to go and take a nap.
Probably separately.
Well, yes, we
separately, but yes.
Comatose?
Semi.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.
See you next time.